Congo. A video posted online showed a flight of 71 people arrived at Enjenga, but the government is yet to comment on the status of the prisoners. Mutamba, who is overseeing the executions, said the third batch will be executed, so the first two have already undergone the measure of execution by the death penalty. While some have welcomed the government's decision to execute the prisoners as a means of restoring order and security in the cities, others are concerned about the risks of abuse and human rights violations. It may be remembered that Congo abolished the death penalty in 1981, but it was reinstated in 2006. The last execution took place in 2003. In March 2024, the Congolese government announced the resumption of capital executions. The reinstated death penalty was intended for military personnel accused of treason, according to close watchers. Amnesty International, while condemning the execution of the prisoners, issued a press statement and stated that President Tshisekedi must halt plans to carry out mass executions. Responding to reports that more than 170 people under sentence of death have been transferred to Enjenga prison for execution in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, Amnesty International's Deputy Regional Director for East and Southern Africa, Sarah Jackson, said, "The announcement of these prison transfers is absolutely appalling. We fear imminent mass executions by the authorities amid a lack of reliable information about the status of people sentenced to death. President Felix Tshisekedi must immediately, publicly and unambiguously halt any plans to execute people in Enjenga prison or elsewhere. Parliament should adopt a moratorium on executions, pending full abolition of the death penalty. We fear imminent mass executions by the authorities amid a lack of reliable information about the status of people sentenced to death. Authorities must also stop mass transfers to remote prisons, including Enjenga, where dozens of detainees have previously died of starvation and disease. Any person transferred from their local area must be moved to a facility that can be easily reached by lawyers, relatives and human rights organizations, and all should be informed of their whereabouts." Amnesty International added that, on the 5th of January 2025, DRC's Justice Minister, Constant Mutamba, announced that more than 170 people, allegedly linked to criminal gangs commonly known as Kulana or bandits, had been transferred from the capital Kinshasa to Enjenga prison in northwest DRC for execution. He said those transferred to Enjenga were between 18 and 35 years old and had been involved in urban violence. Authorities have claimed resuming executions would help combat urban gangs, a claim unsupported by any evidence. President Felix Tshisekedi must immediately, publicly and unambiguously halt any plans to execute people in Enjenga prison or elsewhere. Mutamba has previously threatened people suspected of links to criminal gangs with arrest, conviction and the death penalty, even before trial. In March 2024, DRC's government announced it would resume executions following a 2-decade hiatus. Since then, death sentences by military courts have soared. These sentences often follow unfair trials, including against alleged members of criminal gangs and armed groups. Amnesty International opposes the death penalty in all cases. Justice Minister Constant Mutamba also during the week tweeted and stated in on X social media handle that, "I have not given an interview to any media, much less to the AP, on the operations to combat urban banditry, Zero Coluna Udobo, that the Ministry of the Interior and the Ministry of Justice are conducting across the country. The AP dispatch revealed false information. I invite them to correct it in accordance with the law on freedom of the press. Congolese laws provide for the death penalty and the mechanisms for its execution. The Kuluna urban bandits tried and sentenced to death by our courts were transferred to high-security prisons, far from their place of arrest, to serve their sentence in accordance with Congolese laws. This phenomenon of urban gangs led to the overthrow of the Haitian regime, probably due to the absence of consistent measures of repression and dissuasion. We will show firmness against the Kuluna who will be arrested and brought before the courts, because the soul death and desolation in society. VOA quoting AP also reported that the Democratic Republic of Congo on Thursday banned Al Jazeera satellite news network over its interview with the leader of a violent rebel group that has seized territory in the country's east in recent days. Separately, DRC's Justice Minister threatened journalists and others who report on the M23 rebels with the death penalty, though there is no law officially banning media from covering rebel groups. There was no immediate comment from Al Jazeera, a pan-Arab satellite television news network based in Doha, Qatar. According to DRC government spokesperson Patrick Muyaya, authorities revoked press credentials of Qatar's broadcaster in DRC, saying the network had interviewed the head of a terror organization without proper accreditation. Al Jazeera on Wednesday aired an interview with Bertrand Bisimwa, the head of the M23 rebel movement in the eastern DRC. In the interview, Bisimwa blamed the government in the capital, Kinshasa, for violating an August ceasefire and claimed that M23 is waging an existential war. M23 is the most prominent of more than 100 armed groups active in the mineral-rich area near the DRC border with Rwanda, where more than 1 million people were displaced by fighting last year. A decade ago, the group seized the border city of Goma, and in late 2021 captured broad swaths of territory in eastern DRC. Al Jazeera's interview with Bisimwa was tantamount to an apology for terrorism and totally unacceptable, Muyaya told a news conference, urging journalists not to give the floor to terrorists. Hours earlier, DRC's Justice Minister Constant Mutamba said on the social media platform X that anyone who reports on the activities of the Rwandan army and its M23 auxiliaries will now suffer the full force of the law, death penalty. The Great Lake Eye media also analyzed the significance of the M23 control of Masisi and its consequences to the Congolese army as reported verbatim below. The first weekend of 2025 saw M23 seize 2 more towns in North Kivu province. Masisi Center and Losheberi were taken by the rebels after heavy clashes with the Congolese army coalition. Analysts say that one of the towns means a lot in the escalating armed conflict. Populated with about 40,000 residents, Masisi Center is the capital of Masisi territory. It is about 80 kilometers north of Goma, the capital of North Kivu. Given its geographical location, Masisi Center has been a supply area for the Congolese army coalition. Their logistics, foodstuffs, and ammunition were sent there before they were distributed to different bases. By capturing Masisi Center, M23 rebels have cut off supplies to the vast Congolese army coalitional forces. They are likely to withdraw as they can't stay in their positions while supplies cannot reach them, said a security analyst and journalist based in Goma. Security analysts predict that the rebels are likely to move forward to Walikale, an area that has been stronghold of the FDLR genocidal militia which Kinshasa treats as a reliable fighting force against M23. Despite support from the Burundian army, SADC troops, Eastern European mercenaries, American private military companies, and FDLR, the Congolese army failed to push back M23 since its resurgence in late 2021.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC says a suspected internet fraudster, Joshua Chukwueze Ikechukwu, saw its men via CCTV camera before he started shooting at them and eventually killed one of the security operatives, Aminu Sahabi Salisu, when his men were at a compound to enforce the arrest of suspected internet fraudsters around the fight area in Oka, the Anambra State capital, on Friday. EFCC, in a press statement issued on Sunday by its spokesperson, Dele Oyewale, said internet fraudsters are now into banditry, kidnapping, ritual killing and other deadly acts. According to the statement, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, expresses grief on the loss of one of its officers, Assistant Superintendent of the EFCC, as to Aminu Sahabi Salisu, who was killed in cold blood while on illegitimate duty on January 17, 2025 by a suspected internet fraudster, Joshua Chukwueze Ikechukwu. Additionally, the Commission views with great concern the irresponsible, callous, inhuman and outrageous narratives being circulated on social media on the whys and wherefores of the fatal accident. It is heinous to reduce the death of a gallant officer who was carrying out patriotic and official duties to social media razzmatazz. More worrisome is the fact that some faceless commentators are pitching their tents with an alleged criminal who unleashed terror on officers of the EFCC in their line of duty. There is no justification whatsoever to rationalize a murderous act. The milk of human kindness demands that a grieving family, Commission and nation should be spared the shenanigans of false narratives and conjectures on the death of the slain officer. Salisu, alongside other investigators of the EFCC, were at Dr. J.O. Okutinefe Close, Ifite, Awka, Anambra State, to arrest some suspected internet fraudsters in the early hours of January 17th. The operation was duly documented at the Anambra State Command Headquarters and Area Command of the Nigeria Police in line with operational protocols. The operation was initially smooth sailing with 37 suspected internet fraudsters already arrested at a two-story building housing Ikechukwu and other occupants of the house. However, Ikechukwu, who cited the investigators through a CCTV camera mounted at his doorpost and who also confessed citing them, declined to open his door for the investigators who politely demanded entrance to his apartment. Defying all the introduction and physical citing of the investigators, he resorted to firing shots at them and killed Salisu in the process and wounded another officer detailed to conduct a search in his apartment. Preliminary investigations showed that Ikechukwu was involved in coding and online medical supplies of doubtful legitimacy. 2 laptops, iPads, several recording devices were recovered from his apartment and his involvement in internet fraud is already established. Though currently in police custody owing to the murderous dimension of his case, the Commission will surely bring him to trial. The EFCC also wishes to alert the public that the activities of internet fraudsters are becoming patently hazardous to public safety and security. Intelligence has shown that these criminals are carrying arms, involved in kidnapping, banditry, ritual killings and other deadly acts. The public should not fold its arms or allow itself to be deceived that they are mere Yahoo boys and girls. As for the EFCC, every subsequent attack on any of its officers will be met with the force of the law. The Commission will not fold its arms and allow any of its officers to be killed again in cold blood. As a law enforcement agency of repute, the EFCC is unrelenting in ridding the nation of internet fraud and other acts of corruption, while mourning the loss of its officer who paid the supreme price in the service of the nation. The Commission appreciates the invaluable support, condolences and prompt response of sister agencies and well-meaning individuals standing shoulder to shoulder with it at this trying time. Dele Oyewale, Health, Media and Publicity, EFCC stated on January 19, 2025.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Nigeria Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun has said that the rowdy session or drama that occurred on Thursday at the National Assembly when he was invited to defend the NPF 2025 budget proposal before the lawmakers was unnecessary, insisting that he never presented 2 separate or different 2025 budget proposal documents as alleged by one of the senators representing Ebonyi North, but agreed he used a simplified language to present the abridged version of the budget he was reading before the rowdy session ensued. It would be recalled that there was a heated argument during the 2025 budget defense session on Thursday at the National Assembly as lawmakers observed some irregularities in the details in the budget of the Nigeria Police Force. Media reported that the rowdy session began when the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, was providing a breakdown of the budget proposal for the construction of 5 zonal police headquarters across the country. Software development. Egbetokun had barely started his presentation when a member of the House of Representatives, Mark Cede, from Akwa Ibom, interjected, questioning why the details being read by the IGP were not contained in the documents provided to him. Senator Onyekachi Nwebunyi, a member of the All Progressives Congress and a principal officer thereafter, escalated the situation. He insisted that, as a senator, he should have the appropriate copy of the document the IGP was presenting. Nwebunyi thereafter angrily packed his belongings and stormed out of the budget defense session. As he exited, he exchanged heated words with several House of Representatives members who jeered at him. IGP, in a press release issued few minutes ago by the Force Public Relations Officer, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, said in quote thus, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, on January 17, 2025, addressed the incident that occurred during the presentation of the Nigeria Police Force 2025 budget to the Joint Committees on Police Affairs and Police Institutions at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, on January 16, 2025. The IGP described the disruption as unnecessary and avoidable, clarifying that the document he presented was shared with all committee members beforehand. The IGP explained that 2 versions of the budget documents were provided to the committee members, a comprehensive copy and an abridged version. While both contained same figures and facts, the abridged version used simplified language to facilitate understanding. At the start of the session, the committee members unanimously agreed with a motion that the IGP should present the abridged version since they all had access to both documents. However, distinguished Senator Onyekachi Nwebunyi, Ebonyi North, who arrived late, began referencing the comprehensive version while the IGP presented the abridged version. Despite explanations from other committee members about the earlier agreement and the consistency between both versions, the senator refused to listen and abruptly left the session. The IGP described the incident as unnecessary drama that could have been avoided had the senator been receptive to the clarifications provided. The IGP reiterates that the Nigeria Police Force did not submit 2 different 2025 budgetary proposal documents to the joint committees at the National Assembly, contrary to the reports circulating in the news and media outlets. Software development. The Inspector General has also reiterated the significant challenges the NPF faces with budget allocations. These include inadequate funding, which hampers modernization and effective service delivery, the restrictive envelope budget system, and delays in fund releases. These challenges continue to impede the force's ability to address its expanding and dynamic responsibilities. In conclusion, the IGP called on the public to remain patient and supportive of the police as the force remains committed to delivering exceptional service with professionalism and dedication. Meanwhile, Olumuyiwa had, in a press statement issued on Thursday, said that the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, today, January 16, 2025, defended the 2025 budget for the Nigeria Police Force (NPF) before the Joint Committees on Police Affairs and Police Institutions at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja. The IGP was accompanied by the force management team and other senior officers. Present at the budget presentation were Senator Abdulhamid Malam Medori, Chairman, Senate Committee on Police Affairs, Honorable Maki Yaliman, Chairman, House Committee on Police Affairs, Senator Drive Ibrahim Gedam, Minister of Police Affairs, Nick Hashimu Agungu, retired Chairman Police Service Commission, and other distinguished and honorable members of the committees. In his presentation, The IGP emphasized the need to remove the NPF from the envelope budgetary regime to allow for accurate funding projections. This adjustment, he explained, would enable greater flexibility and ensure the availability of funds to manage the force more effectively. He also highlighted the need for the approval and creation of a special operations account dedicated solely to national security emergencies, as well as an increase in allocations for overhead and capital expenditure. The IGP further proposed allocating funds for the construction of 5 new zonal headquarters, along with supporting tactical units critical to internal security. He also called for the approval of dedicated budget lines for police training institutions to enhance capacity building. Additionally, the IGP stressed that the prompt and full release of appropriated funds in 2025 would be essential for the smooth functioning of the entire force. The Inspector General of Police expressed his gratitude to the joint committees for their engagement during this critical budgetary session. He reiterated the force's commitment to working collaboratively with the committees to reposition the NPF, aligning it with the shared vision of a secure and stable nation. In a press statement issued by his media assistant, the Senate Deputy Chief Whip, Senator Peter Onyekachi Nwebunyi, has maintained that appropriation is one of the cardinal duties of Parliament which must be tackled with every sense of seriousness by the parliamentarians. Senator Nwebunyi gave the charge during the budget presentation of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, before the Senate Committee on Appropriation on Thursday, the 16th of January 2025. During the budget presentation, Senator Nwebunyi observed that what is being read by the IGP was quite different from the copies shared to committee members. He raised the concerns and insisted that the right thing be done, but the committee chairman called for the continuation of the process amid protests from some senators. The scenario degenerated into a rowdy session as Senator Nwebunyi stormed out of the committee room for lack of due process in the budget presentation of the IGP. We are here to serve Nigerians, and Nigerians should see us as a very serious institution. We are not against the presentation of the IGP, but I, as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, should have what the IGP is reading, exactly. The vibrant lawmaker maintained that the content of the IGP's copy should tally with the senators' copies to enable them make inputs in the budget. Romanos Uzo Ozioko, Special Assistant to the Senate Deputy Chief Whip, Media and Publicity, said in a statement issued on January 17, 2025.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Kaduna Eboybudin, a native of Huson village in Orim 1 local government area of Edo State and the state's former chairman of Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, who collapsed and later died after alleged heated argument with men of the Nigeria Police Force at a police checkpoint along Upper Sakwamba Road in Benin City, was on Thursday laid in state at Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. The lying-in-state burial ceremony had in attendance workers, human rights activists from different civil society organizations and Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, North State President, Comrade Clifford Daudu, accompanied by other state officers, including the former national president of Mulch, Comrade Deji Akilula, the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC acting chairman, a former NLC chairman, and other key labor stakeholders in Edo State. African Network for Environment and Economic Justice, ANEJ Executive Director, Reverend David Ugolo, in a statement at the lying-in-state of Comrade Kaduna Eboybudin, said, "Today, we gather to honor the life and legacy of our beloved comrade, Kaduna Eboybudin. As we stand in solemn remembrance during this lying-in-state, our hearts are heavy with grief, yet filled with pride for all that he stood for. Comrade Kaduna was not just a leader, he was a beacon of hope and resilience in our community. His unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and the empowerment of the marginalized serves as an enduring inspiration for us all. He dedicated his life to advocating for the rights of the underprivileged, tirelessly working to uplift those around him and to create a better society for future generations." To his family, we extend our deepest condolences during this difficult time. Your loss is profound, and we share in your sorrow. Comrade Kaduna's impact on our lives and the community will forever be cherished, and we are grateful for the time we had with him. Please take comfort in knowing that his spirit lives on in the hearts of all who were touched by his kindness, courage, and commitment. As we pay our respects, let us also reaffirm our commitment to the values he championed. Let us continue to fight for justice and equality, carrying forward the torch he has passed to us. Together, we can honor his memory by striving to create the world he envisioned, a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Comrade Kaduna Eboy, we thank you for your service, your sacrifices, and your unwavering spirit. You will be missed, but your legacy will live on in our hearts and actions. Rest in peace, dear comrade. David Ugolo words ends in quote. It was gathered that the vehicle that Kaduna Eboy drove, that the policeman at the checkpoint insisted he must go with them to the station after he had introduced himself as former NLC chairman, Edo State Chapter, former National Vice Chairman, NOJ, and has the seal or logo of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC. Shortly after the incident, the police command in Edo State ordered investigation into the circumstances that caused the death of Comrade Kaduna Eboy. The command spokesman, SP Moses Yamu, said the Commissioner of Police, Umaru P. Ozigi, gave the order after civil society organizations and other concerned individuals held their voice over the unfortunate death of the former workers' union leader, which the incident was to have occurred when Eboy was driving with his spouse through Upper Sakwamba Road on Monday, December 2, 2024 in Benin City. According to reports, the police stopped Eboy and demanded his vehicle particulars, which he provided. A discrepancy in the documents sparked a heated argument, as the police were said to have accused him of driving a stolen vehicle. One of the reports indicated that the policeman allegedly ordered him to drive to their station, which Eboy refused, demanding to know his offense. The situation degenerated into arguments, and Eboy, who had become infuriated, slumped on the spot. It was gathered that the police officers fled the scene, leaving Eboy wife to rush him to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. According to Iyamu, the CP wishes to use this medium to commiserate with the widow, family, friends and associates of the deceased over the loss and pray for the repose of his soul. The CP noted the cordial working relationship existing between the police, civil society organizations, NLC and all critical stakeholders in the state, and has, therefore, directed the immediate investigation into the incident. The command remains committed to upholding the rule of law and ensuring justice prevails in every situation, Yamu said. Meanwhile, the leadership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Orium 1 chapter, in condolence statement on Sunday the incident occurred, said it has commiserated with the household of a veteran labor leader and former chairman of the Edo State chapter of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, late Comrade Anthony Kaduna Osa Eboy. The chairman of Orium 1 chapter of the People's Democratic Party, Honorable Prince Stanley Idus, described the fallen hero as a trailblazer who has contributed his best to the development of humanity through her diverse roles as a foremost labor leader, socio-economic crusade and union advocate par excellence. With a heavy heart full of grief and sadness, the PDP Orium 1 local government chapter wishes to inform the party leadership, stakeholders, supporters and the general public of the demise of one of our reputable leaders with clout and integrity, Comrade Anthony Kaduna Eboy, at the early hours of today. He was a party-faithful and an accomplished labor leader who led a series of developmental struggles. He was a trailblazer who has contributed his best to the development of humanity through his diverse roles as a foremost labor leader, socio-economic crusade and union advocate par excellence. His numerous sacrifices for enthroning a better Orium 1 in particular and Edo at large cannot be forgotten in a hurry. May God grant his gentle soul eternal rest and grant his family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. PDP Ohio 1 chapter farewell statement ends in quote. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebholo offered an automatic employment to the daughter of the former chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC Edo State Chapter, late Comrade Anthony Kaduna Ebaobodin, and has since marched action with words according to follow-up news report by the local news media in the state, ITV. The governor, during a condolence visit to the family of the late unionist, promised that his administration will interface with the state's police commissioner, Umaru Ozigi, to ensure that the conduct of officers does not pose any threats to Edo State residents. The governor, who arrived in company of the acting chairman of NLC, Edo State, Comrade Bernard Joman Egwakhaid, other leaders of organized labor and civil society organizations in the state to condole with the widow and family members of the deceased, expressed displeasure over his death. The governor noted that the death was avoidable if only the policemen had conducted themselves well at the checkpoint, where he collapsed, following a heated argument. It is painful that we have lost a soul in this manner, but I will talk to the police about their conduct so that they will behave well and conduct themselves well in the state. He is gone. It is painful, but that is life, as we all will die one day. I feel sad over the circumstances surrounding his death, but he is gone. No man knows who is next, the governor concluded. Acting Chairman NLC, Comrade Egwakhaid, and some leaders of the civil society organizations, including Reverend David Ugulo and Barrister Abraham Oviawi, called for a holistic investigation to unravel the circumstances behind the death of Comrade Kaduna Eboibudin. Governor Okpebholo, thereafter, signed the condolence register in honor of late Comrade Eboibudin, who died at the age of 64, according to news released by Fred Itua, Chief Press Secretary to Edo State Governor, issued on December 7, 2024. Former Chairman of Association of Nigerian Authors, ANA, Edo State Chapter, Goodluck Osama Ogbede, who doubled as the Honorable Councillor representing Ogu Ward 09 in Oriumon Legislative Arm, described the fallen hero as a king-hearted father who have positively influenced his career as a union leader while he was the state chairman of ANA Edo. I am saddened by the news of the death of a kind-hearted father, senior colleague and role model in the socio-economic struggle, jocularly called the living ancestor of the struggle, due to his tireless efforts in ensuring a better society. His immersive leadership roles as a pioneer coordinator of the Edo civil society organizations, EDOCSHO, where I belong, made him a renowned father in the struggle, who, in collaboration with other stakeholders like leftist Omobut Ago, leftist Osazi Edigin, Comrade Austin Osakwe, and others, ignited the spirit of the socio-economic struggle. He would always render necessary support where he would. No doubt, he influenced my career positively as ANA Edo chairman, with his regular fruitful counsels. He wholeheartedly gave his best to the development of humanity, through his diverse roles as a foremost labor leader, socio-economic crusader, and union advocate par excellence. As the chairman of Edo National Labour Congress, NLC, the union no doubt witnessed transformation. Kaduna Eboibudin was a retired public servant, who served as National Vice Chairman of National Union of Local Government Employees, NULG. He had previously served as head of local government administration, Holga, in Uhunwan local government area, after which he was posted to Uromi, where he finally signed and bore out of service meritoriously. Meanwhile, he had earlier served as the head of all health workers at the local government level. His quest for building a qualitative society made him the pioneer chairman of the Gani Fawehimi Forum for Good Governance, a body which prides itself on the protection of human rights and social justice. He had always stood for transparency and good governance, accountability and protection of egalitarianism. In view of empowering genuine future leaders and pressing forward his quest for a better society, Eboibudin joined politics, where he continually added his voice for societal liberation in lieu of enhancing a better Orium in particular and Edo at large. Until his death, he was a card-carrying member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and one of the stakeholders and kingmakers of the Orium wing. He will be highly remembered for his positive contributions, humility, purpose-driven and resourcefulness in all spheres of the society. It is my prayers that God gives his soul eternal rest and grant his family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. We will surely miss him, Ogbede stated. David Ogolo in a statement few days ago said thanked everyone that contributed to burial of the late former workers' union leader, Kaduna Eboybudin. Dear comrades, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your unwavering support and contributions towards the burial of our esteemed senior comrade, Pa Kaduna Eboybudin. Your generosity and commitment have been a tremendous source of strength for both the family and our community during this difficult time. Today, we have the honor of visiting the family to hand over our collective contribution of 1,080,000 naira, 1,080,000 nairas. It was a moment filled with gratitude and solidarity, and it would not have been possible without the dedication of every individual in this remarkable group. As we prepare for the burial activities from January 15th to January 19th, 2025, I encourage everyone to join us in honoring our comrade's legacy. Your presence will mean a lot to the family and to our community as we come together in solidarity. Thank you once again for your commitment and compassion. Together, we stand stronger, David Ogolo said. Prior to the lying-in state ceremony, the Publicity Secretary of NULJ in a statement said, the State President of NULJ, Edo State Chapter, Comrade Clifford Daudu led a delegation of the State Executive Council of NULJ, including the newly posted State Secretary, Comrade Taiwo Adebayo, on a condolence visit to the family of late Comrade Anthony Kaduna Osa Eboybudin, who until his death was the apex leader of NULJ Edo State Chapter. The State President extolled the late Labour legend, X-raying the legacies he left behind. He told the family to take solace in the fact that late Comrade Eboybudin lived a good life and impacted majority of people. He assured the family of the union's solidarity, support in this period of grief and beyond. He expressed the union's appreciation to Governor Monday Okpebholo for his visit to the family and the automatic employment for the daughter of the deceased. The widow of late Comrade Eboybudin, while narrating the unfortunate police incident that led to the demise of the husband, thanked the union leadership for the condolence visit. The union leadership prayed for the repose of the soul of the late Labour icon, said Ibizube Ezeegbe, State Publicity Secretary, NULJ, Edo State Chapter.
Osazuwa Connedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way.